We love to grow our own vegetables in the summertime. With the new house, we opted to use planter boxes. The fact that they are taller makes it easier for our aching bones to maintain, and we have a perfect spot for them. Also, the previous owners left us a planter that we are using for herbs and spices. It just made sense to add to the lot. Now, I'm building mine with Hemlock, a poor man's cedar, but a quarter the price, and the legs are in pressure treated 2x4. I bought 16 Hemlock boards, 1 by 5 3/4 and 6 feet long, and I have 3 left after building the first box. I also have 16 pressure treated 2x4s, 6 feet long as well, but I have 7 left. My math was way off there. First step in the build was to mill my Hemlock boards. This was very wet wood, so I started with the jointer and then the planer. Both the jointer and the planer created a whole lot of wood chips. I just want to show you this. After planing the 16 boards down to 3/4 inches, this is what my canister looks like. It's full, and I've emptied it. This is the third time I'm going to empty it today. Once I had the 2 faces parallel and one edge jointed, I cut the boards to a final 5.5 inches wide size. Next, I focused my attention on the legs, which are built from 2 pieces of the pressure treated 2x4s. One is longer than the other. Because the extension arms on my miter saw were too short for the long pieces, I attached a sacrificial fence to my miter saw and added a stop block. Then I cut 6 long legs, adjusted the stop block, and cut 6 shorter legs. Assembling the legs is pretty easy. I spread out some glue on one of the faces of the short legs. Then I used some clamps to align the long and short legs, making sure the bottom was flush, and then secured both pieces together using 3-inch deck screws. There are 2 short sides and 2 long sides to the planter box. I started with the short sides, so I cut 4 boards to 2-foot length. I then cut slots for pocket screws and attached 2 boards to 2 leg assemblies to make one of the short ends for the planter box. Next step was to cut the boards for the long ends. I felt it would be difficult to use a stop block to cut these boards to length. So I decided to clamp flush 2 boards together and cut them both at the same time. Then I made the holes for pocket screws. I'm so glad that the ceiling in my shop is high enough. These boards were very close to the neon lights. I was afraid that the weight of the box would be too much to move when it was completed. So I decided to continue the assembly on the deck where the planter box would eventually be. I moved all the parts in a gaggle of tools from the shop over to the deck. Assembling the long sides is pretty easy. You do need 1 more leg assembly that will go in the middle of the long board. I used pocket screws and 1 1/4 inch deck screws to secure these long boards. I stopped for the day at that point when I was done, which turned out to be a very wise decision. So good morning, gang. I ran out of memory on the camera, so that's why you didn't see the entire build. It's pretty straightforward. So using pocket screws, I got the 2 side boards installed. I'm at a point right now where the next steps I need to put in 3 braces across each of the legs. That's going to support 4 planks, 4 boards that are going to go on the bottom and just lie there. And then the last thing I need to do is put in a frame around the top. And the frame is going to be mitered. It's going to look nice. Now, one thing I did forget to do was drill in pocket screws on the top boards so that I could secure the frame on the edges. So that's the first thing I'm going to do right now is go get my drill, my tools, and start drilling those pocket screws so I get that done before I do anything else. All right, let's get going. By the way, it's just gorgeous today. Just a beautiful day to work outside. I recently bought the Veritas shooting plane and corresponding board. I use these tools to make any final adjustments to the length of the braces. It's an expensive toy, but wow, what results. Before installing these cleats for good, I drilled, you guessed it, pocket screw holes. 4 boards sit on top of these braces, no fasteners needed here. Back in the shop, I ripped boards to 3 inches in width. These are going to become the frame that will sit on top of the planter box. To begin with, I focused on the long pieces of the frame by cutting miters on both ends of these long boards. I lined up these long boards with the edge of the leg assembly and added a 1-inch overhang on each end. Then I used pocket screws to secure these boards in place. I noticed that the inside edge was very sharp, so I used my block plane to soften out that edge. Remember the shooting plane and board? Well, I used it to make any final adjustments to the length of the short frame pieces. I got an almost perfect fit that way. And again, I'm using my block plane to soften the inside edge of both of the short sides of the frame. I was concerned that the miters would eventually be misaligned. To mitigate that possibility, I'm using number 10 biscuits on each of the miters. The biscuits are the only pieces that receive any glue in the miter assembly. Final touch, I rounded over the outside of the frame with my router and a round over bit. This project is done. Alright, I got quite a bit of cleanup to do, but overall the project is done. And what do I get as a reward? A nice hot Tim Hortons coffee. Enjoy, folks. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't done so. Click that like button. Leave me a comment. See you soon. Man, that's cool. If you want to build one of these, I have a SketchUp file and a set of plans I can share with you. My email is below. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you have not done so yet, and let me know what you think. See ya.